A week passed. The ruined city we left behind, with its twisted green life, was gone. Now, it was just nothing. Cracked, radioactive desert under a sickly green sky. We were off the map, in a place the game never meant for us to see. Me and Lyra. We walked in silence. The tension between us so thick you could taste it. We both knew the truth now, the secret hidden in the core, and that truth bound us together. But the betrayal was still there, a heavy weight with every step. My vision was different. The glitch that almost killed me had settled into something new. My old green interface was still there, but now it was layered with shimmering blue data from the core and gold lines tracing the architecture of the cipher. It gave me this incredible awareness, but my system was screaming at me. Integrity at 58%. Cognitive load high. A constant whisper of errors. Lyra had her arm in a makeshift sling. She was scanning the horizon with a pair of high-tech binoculars, her face a perfect mask. Nothing for 50 clicks, she said, her voice flat. Just dust and wind. If this is a fool's errand. I cut her off. The enforcers believed it. They pulled their entire local patrol to chase us. Sector 0 is real. It's the source. I stopped and knelt down. My enhanced sight caught something unnatural half buried in the sand. Not a rock. It was a surveillance drone. Sleek white, with a logo I didn't recognize. A stylized eye over a globe. The oversight. This isn't game tech, I said, tracing its smooth surface. This is newer. Lyra nudged it with her boot. Or older. PRE quarantine. She had a point. If we're the lab rats, the lab techs have to check in sometimes. That's when a low hum started, vibrating up from the ground. The sand around the drone began to shift. Tripwire, I hissed. And then they erupted from the sand. 3 of them. Sleek, spider-like sentinels. Not like the chaotic monsters of the game. These moved with a silent, deadly precision. Their single red eyes locked onto the core strap to my pack. My HUD flashed an alert. Oversight class sentinels. Priority. Asset recovery. There was no time to talk. Just violence. For the first time since everything fell apart, we fought back to back. Our styles were completely different, but somehow they fit together. Lyra was all precision, a single shot to a joint, a flash grenade to blind them. I was pure adaptive chaos. I used my glitched out sight to predict their attacks, even managing to force a corrupted data packet into one of them, overloading its systems. We took down 2. The third, damaged and sparking, scuttled away into the desert. Lyra was gasping for breath. It'll report our position. Let it, I said, my eyes fixed on the horizon. We're expected, I pointed. The desert ended abruptly at a massive, unnatural canyon that split the earth in 2. The scar, it was miles wide, plunging into pure darkness. A single, impossibly thin, and partially collapsed bridge spanned the chasm. On the other side, the landscape shifted to jagged, black metallic spires. That was it. Sector 0. But the bridge wasn't empty. There were figures moving on it. Not sentinels. Not monsters. They were players. Dozens of them. The most hardened, desperate, and probably insane veterans of the apocalypse game. They'd built a fortress on the bridge itself. A chokehold on the only path to the promised land. The final player-made barrier. Lyra let out a bitter laugh. Of course. The worst of us got here first. They've made a kingdom out of the bottleneck. My HUD scanned their fortress. Scavenged turrets, pits of fire, barricades made from wrecked vehicles. And at its heart, a massive signal jammer. That's why no one could communicate or fast travel from here. A title flashed in my vision, pulled from their local network chatter. The Bridge Lord. Whoever controlled this bridge controlled the hope of this entire world. We can't fight through that, I said. Not head on. Lyra wasn't looking at the fortress. Her eyes were on the deep, dark void of the scar. We don't go over. She turned to me. We go under. She explained that the core's old maps showed the scar wasn't just a canyon. It was a massive geothermal tap, filled with maintenance tunnels and transport lines. A path through the darkness. A journey through whatever forgotten things had been thrown into the abyss over the centuries. I looked at the violent, teeming fortress on the bridge, then down into that black emptiness. Under it is, I agreed. We found an old service elevator shaft, its doors sealed shut. I used the core's authority, pulsing it with a command. The doors groaned open, and a rush of stale, cold air washed over us. We stepped onto the rusted platform. The doors slid shut, plunging us into total blackness, save for the faint glow from our gear and my HUD. In the dark, Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. If I don't make it out of this hole, the cipher has a personal lock. Passcode is Reese's birthday. Look at it. Before I could even ask what she meant, The elevator jolted, and with a terrible screech, began its long, long descent into the heart of the world. The descent took hours. We walked through tunnels where the very rock had fused with melted polymer and steel. This was the place where the real world and the simulation's architecture blurred together. I saw glimpses of server racks encased in crystal, data cables as thick as trees, and eerie, preserved rooms from before the collapse, a cafeteria, a lab, all frozen in time. We were walking through the guts of the quarantine itself. The monsters here were different. They weren't beasts, but glitches given form, humanoid shapes of static, creatures made of distorted light and fragmented screams. They were the raw, suffering data of the infected minds, bleeding into the maintenance layers of the system. My connection to the core was both a shield and a magnet. The glitches recoiled from its ordered power, but they were also drawn to its energy, like moths to a dangerous flame. We finally reached a vast, cavernous space. In the center stood a monolithic structure, a pure white wall that stretched into the darkness above and below. It hummed with a barely contained power. The firewall. It wasn't made of stone, but of light and code. Symbols flowed across its surface like water. It was beautiful and utterly forbidding. My scan confirmed its purpose. A separation lay between the quarantine simulation and the real-world oversight sector. Unauthorized crossing meant neural annihilation. Lyra looked at it, her voice tight. There's no door, no terminal. There's a keyhole, I said, stepping forward. The core on my back reacted, its light synchronizing with the pulse of the firewall. I placed my hand on the surface, and data streamed directly into my mind. I didn't see a door. I saw a test, a final interrogation of consciousness to determine if a person was sane, a player to be contained or contaminated, to be deleted. It needs to read us, I explained. Our memories, our stability. Lyra's voice was pure panic. No, it can't. You don't understand what's in my... We don't have a choice, I shot back. The firewall activated. Beams of light enveloped us both, paralyzing us where we stood. Visions flashed through my mind. I saw my first day in the game, terrified. I saw the face of my first squad leader, a woman named Jaina, who died saving me from a stalker. The memory was warm, painful, but it was coherent. It was a memory of this world. Then I saw Lyra's vision, a PI game memory, a real one. A sunny day, a child's laugh, a backyard, then screaming, an ambulance, a hospital room with a body under a sheet, grief, war and world ending, then static, then the game. The firewall analyzed us. For me, it was simple. My trauma was from the game. I was a product of the quarantine. My result came back, sane. Containment valid. But for Lyra, the system stuttered. Her foundational trauma was real, from before she ever entered this place. The system scrambled, identifying her core instability not as the game's madness, but as a profound real-world loss that made her susceptible. The result flashed. Ambiguous. Potential carrier. Proceed to purge. The firewall's hum became aggressive. Energy coalesced around Lyra. She screamed, not in pain, but in rage and grief. I know what I am. I've always known. And in that moment, fighting the paralysis, I understood. Her betrayal, her ruthlessness, it wasn't just greed. It was the rage of someone who knew, on some deep level, that her pain was older than this fake world. She was trying to claw her way to the administrators to either demand answers or burn it all down. I made a decision. I used the core, not to open the firewall, but to hack the test. I overwrote Lyra's result with my own administrative credentials from the core. I flooded the system with a corrupted verdict. Subjects: Kai and Lyra. Status: Oversight Audit Team. Authorization: Omega. The firewall shuddered. It wasn't designed for this. A segment of the wall flickered, dissolved, and created a temporary archway. The beam released us, and we collapsed to the ground. The way forward was open, but Lyra was broken, sobbing. The fart she'd maintained for so long finally shattered. Quietly, I spoke. The passcode. Reese's birthday. Your log. She looked up, her eyes wide with fear. I used the cipher to access it. It wasn't a log of plans or betrayals. It was a series of diary entries, dated from her early days in the game. Her recorded voice filled the silence. Day 147. I dreamt of her again. My daughter. The sound of the monitor flatlining. The doctors called it a sudden, catastrophic failure. They didn't understand. I felt it. In my head. A snapping noise. Then the world went wrong. Then I woke up here. The recording continued. Day 301. I've theorized it. The pathogen. It doesn't just cause madness. It latches onto existing, profound grief or trauma and amplifies it, breaks the mind. I wasn't infected by a random monster. I was infected by my own loss. I am my own patient zero. I stared at her. She wasn't just a survivor with a tragic past. Her very grief was the vector for the cognitive pathogen. The quarantine, this entire prison, it existed because of her. Her voice was shattered, but her words were like steel. I'm not trying to escape the game, Kai. I am trying to find the bastards who put my daughter's memory inside a monster and called it a cure. She stood, wiping her face, a new, terrible resolve hardening her features. The door to the sanctum was open. She walked through it, and carrying the terrible weight of her truth, I followed. You made it. I knew you would. Well, I knew it would. The Chronos core wasn't just a lock. It was a test. A beacon for a consciousness capable of wielding its truth without going completely insane. You passed, Kai. No, I'm not the warden. I'm the caretaker. And a prisoner, just like you. My sentence is to watch. And you, Subject Lyra, my greatest failure, and our greatest hope. The pathogen was real. It was an accidental neural weapon that escaped a lab. It spread through empathy, by truly understanding another's pain. The more profound the trauma, the more vulnerable the mind. The world wasn't ending in fire. It was ending in a wave of shared, recursive madness. You experienced a profound, personal trauma at the exact moment of the initial outbreak. Your grief became a perfect amplifier. You were patient zero for your cluster. We couldn't cure you. So we quarantined your consciousness here. We built this simulation to contain your psyche and the spreading infection within it. The monsters are the psychic echoes of your pain given form. The other players are either constructs or other infected minds. Their memories wiped to keep them stable. Your pain was the lock, but it can also be the key. The core bonded to you, Kai, because your mind is resilient. You can interface with the system without being consumed by it. You can do what I, bound by my programming, cannot. You can initiate the final diagnostic, a system-wide purge that will scan every consciousness in this quarantine. It will identify the stable minds, the ones who can be woken up and reintegrated into the real world, which is slowly healing. And it will humanely terminate the coding of the irretrievably infected, ending their suffering. But to run it, I need two keys. One of sanity, to operate the system, and one of the force infection, to map the pathogen's original signature. You must both willingly link with the Sanctum core. Lyra, it will force you to relive your deepest trauma at full intensity. It may destroy your mind. Kai, you must hold the system together while she does it. If you fail, the diagnostic corrupts, and the entire simulation collapses, deleting everyone. It's working, but the instability is feeding back. Kai, you have to contain it. It's done. Stable minds identified, 12%, ready for reintegration. Corrupted code, quarantined and neutralized. Simulation integrity maintained. You did it. You can wake up now. You can go home. The simulation will remain as a sanctuary for those who choose to stay, or until they are ready. It will be peaceful. No more monsters. Just a world to rebuild. You're not going? Someone has to help them rebuild. Someone who knows the truth. You'll be the guides, the custodians. Thanks for hanging out with us until the end. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you won't miss what's next.